Hello and welcome to the festival Frequencies Sharing Feminisms, which is organized by the Goethe-Institut and happening in cooperation with Sophienseele and ICI Berlin between the 19th and the 21st of May, 2022. My name is Alina Buchberger and I have the great honor of moderating today's digital discussion with Melati Suryodarmo and Keni Soeriaatmadja. And the two are already here present. Our conversation today is taking the project Bodies of Care as a point of departure. And that was a participatory performing arts project jointly developed by 10 young choreographers from Indonesia and Germany. And we will then hopefully get talking, and the discussion might lead us to going deeper into questions about gestures of care, about choreography and community in times of the pandemic, and of course about artistic feminist practice, which we're all here in this festival to exchange about. And so before we start, I would really like to briefly introduce our two guests today, starting with Melati Suryodarmo, who is an interdisciplinary artist born in 1969 in Surakarta in Indonesia, and whose durational performance work is often described as very physically demanding and touching questions of the body and its relation to its environment. Melati has performed and exhibited throughout Europe, Asia, and North America. She graduated in Bandung with a degree in international relations before moving to Germany. And she has lived here for 20 years, studying and working in performance art, amongst others also with Marina Abramovic and a couple of other renowned performance artists. She later returned to Indonesia and founded Undisclosed Territory, which is an annual festival for performance art. She is also the founder of Studio Plesungan, which she decided to open in 2012 in order to support other artists who don't have a space. So it's actually her own studio space where she works, and simultaneously also a space to share with others, encouraging them to engage artistically with politics and also with the situation in the country. In 2017, she served as artistic director for the Jakarta Biennale, and Melati Suryodarmo is also winner of the 2022 Bonifanten Award for Contemporary Art, which will be accompanied by a solo exhibition at the museum in Maastricht. So that is something we're all looking forward to. And Bodies of Care was developed together with Melati Suryodarmo at the German performance collective Ligna. As mentors, these artists all worked closely with the choreographers during the whole production process. And so I'm very happy to welcome you today to this discussion. Hello, Melati.
Hello, Alina. Hello, everyone. Thank you.
I will directly go on and present our second guest today, who is Keni Soeriaatmadja. Keni is a performing arts and a producer and a curator. She started her experience in the arts as a traditional dancer since very early age, and then completed later her study in visual art and anthropology in Bandung in Indonesia. Awarded with the Ganesha Prize in 2002, she received an opportunity to attend a museology short course at the Amsterdam School of the Arts. Then, through Kelola Foundation grants, she established the Sasi Kirana Choreo Lab and Dance Camp in 2015, which is a development platform for young contemporary dancers and choreographers in Indonesia. And every year, around 22 young dancers and choreographers train there, gather there, and are during that time mentored by internationally known dance professionals. And they are there to develop their skills and also conceptual thinking, their own creations, and also give public work in progress presentations then after this process. And in 2020, Sasi Kirana Choreo Lab produced Dokumentari, which is an autobiographical narratives web database for Indonesian dancers, for providing lots of visibility to different parcours and professional practices in the dance and choreographic field. And Bodies of Care is produced in partnership between the Goethe-Institut Indonesia and Sasi Kirana Choreo Lab and Dance Camp. This is why it's a big honor, Keni, as the co-founder, to have you here today with us in the discussion. Hello.
Hi, Alina. Hi, Melati. Hi, everyone. It's a real honor to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
So I think to kick off the conversation, it would be great to invite our audience a little bit into the Bodies of Care project, which is why we want to screen a really short video about the process that we can get some visual impressions also. And then afterwards, we will start discussing this project. So here we go with the video.
That would be spectacular. So Ilham wants to do on the river with the boat and
mulailah bergerak dengan mengikuti musik tanpa kehilangan kontak mata dengan pasangan Anda.
Now that your skin is awake, it is ready to discover other skins, to connect physically with them.
Indah dan bersih.
How do you express gratitude? Is there another way to say thank you?
Cover your
word thank
crotch
you play a role
with
and
your
have an impact
object
on your life?
or hands.
Thank you very much. So I think we all got a brief impression already of Bodies of Care, but maybe we can go a little bit deeper. Kenny, I saw that on your website, it says that Sasi Kirana wants to bring back the notion of the body as a tool of expression and not just the medium of representation. So that really made me curious about the practice you have there and how that relates to Bodies of Care.
Well, yeah, thank you, Alina, for that opening question. In Indonesia, the dance history, the history of dance goes back, hundreds and thousands of years. At the beginning, dance was presented inherently as part of the rituals, the traditional rituals from our ancestors. And then as the world goes round, it functions in different roles. And we identify a lot of time that traditional dance in Indonesia is being presented as a medium of cultural diplomatic by the nation. And so the development of the dance in Indonesia is very much, as a representation. It represents something else. It doesn't represent the body or the dance itself. So I think we want in Sasi Kirana, we want to break down all these roles and all these meanings that are embodied in the word dance itself, and try to find different spectrums on how you want to use dance and how we want to activate it in the society in general. Because, I have to be honest that contemporary dance, for example, it's still very elite in Indonesia. Not a lot of people can see it. There aren't many festivals, venues, or events that we can meet to discuss contemporary dance. But there are many other spectrums of dance or performing arts that are, very much connected to the society and the work with the community. And this is Sasi Kirana is a space that we want to feel safe to talk about it. I think that's probably how I want to present ourselves as a community. And of course, also, I think relating it to Bodies of Care, we realized at the start of pandemic, it's a terrible time for performing arts in Indonesia. You know, theaters are closed, venues are closed, programs, we don't have any programs. And we did a survey to around 150 members of our community, and that's throughout Indonesia. You know, it's not in 17,000 islands, but we have quite a few people from different parts of Indonesia, from west to eastern part of Indonesia. And we found out that around 85% of them had to move to different sector to, you know, to pay the bills. And so, meaning that performing arts cannot really support their life. And then we started to question what's, you know, what can we do about it? And what's wrong with performing arts in Indonesia? And that's why we started documentary, because we want to hear different stories, because maybe what we hear all this time is actually still very centralized. There's a lot of centralization actually in Indonesia as well in the development of the arts. We see Java very much in control of what's going on in other parts of Indonesia. But we know there are activists and artists in different parts who actually have their very specific role with their specific community. And that's what we want to hear. And that's why we created documentary. And in Bodies of Care, when we met with Goethe-Institut, we were very grateful to have the opportunity to, you know, start questioning not only about performing arts, but also how we embody the act of caring. And if the body is said as a collective of wounds, that traumas are imprinted in our bodies, does it also imprinted love and care? And how much does our culture and politics construct or influence the gesture of carings? Yeah, that's probably how we started the project.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's amazing. I think the last comment was especially impressive for me, to speak about the body also like as a medium of remembering trauma, but also gestures of care and love. Melati, do you want to comment on the project from your artistic perspective? You were also mentoring a lot of young choreographers. Maybe you want to add something?
Yes, I think our participation, participation in a certain kind of movement that is involving our body and gestures, and then all the digital information that we receive through listening, hearing, and bringing up the experience of performance, not only from seeing, but experiencing through action, I think is very, very interesting. Although in the history of performance, it's not a new, but during the pandemic, it becomes something that is brilliant. So we can reach a lot of people. We can also, you know, through radio, people can do their own performance. They can join on their own from their own spaces, from home or wherever they were. And I think this was a very effective way of transmitting messages. And also, you know, care is something that we often forget, and we suddenly remember about caring each other during the pandemic. And I think I hope it's not just because of the pandemic, and I think we care each other. Do we really care each other? Does our government really care about us? So does the politics is really talking about cares? I think there is a never-ending effort to spread the spirit of caring, because the world is in many cases always like in some part very hard, in another part they get better. And so this to keep the universe in balance, I think the care is one of the key words.
I saw one of the videos where the performers were also caring for the environment when they were doing gestures in the Batanghari River, I think.
Yeah.
And there was also one performance that took place in a marketplace. Maybe you could develop a little bit more on these gestures of care, why this is a feminist project, maybe also would be interesting to me, and how these gestures of care can be caring for each other as humans, but also for environment.
Right. Yeah, so maybe I go through a bit of how we did the project. So we do an open call and call out for artists from Germany and Indonesia to take part in this project. We open the space for them to develop their idea. As Melati said, it's very much, usually the word care is taken for granted. And even I had trouble in translating the word care to Bahasa Indonesia because it has different connotations. Is it love? Is it compassion? Is it, caring for elderly? It has different words. So after we have 10 different choreographers, 3 from Germany and 7 from Indonesia, we did a set of workshop facilitated by Melati and Thorsten and Ola from Ligna, because they have their experience and knowledge in developing instructional choreography. And one thing that is very important is the presence of public space. We want to present the work in public space because first, the theaters are closed. And second, I think there is this, sense of emergency to re-own and reclaim public space at the time when you have the restriction of social distancing, and we have to rethink of how we want to socially be in public space. So this set of workshop gives us a lot of experience in working in different posts digitally and analog, because we were not very familiar of doing an artistic workshop project online fully 100% in 2 different countries with artists who don't know each other. And we also want to practice the caring, the act of caring during the workshop, because we know the artists have different kinds of experience and backgrounds, and also the ability to speak English. It was excitingly challenging, and we take the challenge. And so Melati and Ligna and Ola and Thorsten gave the opportunity for the artists to develop and bring out their issue, the issue that they are interested in. And so we came with 10 different issues from different artists. And then the next homework is, how do we want to put them together? Do we want to put it as a one whole project, or people want to group out? And trying to find that out is also challenging, but we did it eventually. So we had 6 works where 2 works are being built collectively by the artists, and other 4 works is individually. And they came out with different issues, as you said. Ilham from Jambi, for example, he was concerned about the river in Batanghari River from his hometown in Jambi. And he sent the idea of, usually the traditional people in Batanghari use superstitious, beliefs in how to take care of the river, because there is a god that we need to take care of in the river, that we don't want to, do bad things to the river. But now, as modernity comes, people start forgetting about the god, and it's actually very dirty right now. So he did the performance, he developed his work in the water, and then when he did the presentation, they did it in the water. in the hope that people, grab the attention about the importance of taking care of the river. And then we have another interesting work is probably from Densil, which talks about the online taxi, motorbike taxi we have in Indonesia, where we give order to the driver to come, to grab something, and then deliver things, and how instruction is very much, instruction and power relation is very much in our daily lives. And we never realize that we are actually very much in authority and giving orders in a daily matter. And then Ogi from Bali also talked about...
Can I ask you about something before you continue? Because you started to talk about instructions and orders. And when I watched some of the projects, I also witnessed that instructions given to participants through an audio device were also part of the work very much. So the power then lies in the artist's hand to give instructions, but instructions of care. Is that something you questioned?
Yeah, Melati, you probably want to add this also in the conversation, because it was talked a lot in our workshop, and how the artists want to position themselves, giving an audio instruction to the participants, but also we also talk about care and what is the power play between the artists and the participants. And I think in the workshop, we came out with the realization that if this is a specific presentation, as we are going to have in Suryodarmo this afternoon in Berlin, people come with their idea and their notion that they will take part in this presentation, and they have so the artists have the consent of the participants to give orders in a way, to give them the audio. But also the participants, if you feel uncomfortable, you also have your authority not to, you have your control. The control is actually still at the participants. So it's not an oppressive instruction, I guess. It's a different term, right?
Right.
Yeah. Melati, do you want to add to this?
I think the most difficult,
Keni, do you want to comment? You were about to...
Anyway, yes. So the instruction was very difficult to construct, yeah, because most of them, they mostly create the kind of a choreography that is dealing with dancers, dancers' body and performers. I'm sorry, maybe Keni, can you explain more, because I need to take care of
the dog.
Abby. Yeah.
Yeah, because like the dancers, the dancers' body are used to instruction, but then this performance should be for other people who are not dancers. So that was very challenging.
Yeah. That's true. That's a good point to talk about. So first, we probably never really realized that our daily lives is very much choreographed. When we have to, the stoplights will tell you when to go on or you stop at the junction. And then when you go to a post office, you have to sit down, or where you want to queue. So it's very much there, the social choreography of our daily lives. And then we have to, and then we talk with artists who see choreography as an aesthetic set of orders on the stage, when it's not just moving, but it's dance, So for the dancers or the artists itself, it's quite, they had to take some time to break off this dancey movement, because we want to talk with people, common people who are not dancers, that are going to be the participants of this choreography. We actually want to sort of demystify the stage, because the stage also has a lot of authority and power. And that also what we want to question, how if we do it by the street or in the garden, does it have the same power? Is it still contemporary art? Is it still art if we do it, at the parking lot? So that notion and that ideas, the decolonializing the stage, I guess, was very much present. Then, of course, because we want to speak with non-dancers, participants, it took some time for us to, calibrate to that stage, to that level, and then the artists will they have to write down some instructions that are quite flowy with another, So participants or the audience at home, when you come and be part of this presentation, you will come and then you will hear an audio instructions where they will ask you to, to do some movements. There aren't anything provocative actually with the movement, but I hope it brings some notion of the issue that the artists are trying to bring up.
I think, Melati, maybe you're back with us.
So sorry, I moved place, so
okay.
Problem.
I would be interested to hear from you a little bit about the feminist artistic practice that you also see in Bodies of Care, and maybe also how the collaboration was working between these artists from Indonesia and Germany on that level, and also how feminist artistic practice, manifests in the project, but also generally how you feel about this in this exchange of the project.
I think talking about feminism, we need to see where we start seeing the activism of, in the feminism area. Because, for example, our practice of feministic practice in Europe is totally different than how we practice it here, because we have a totally different socio-political environment, and also culturally we have a totally different backgrounds. Even in Indonesia, we have a totally different cultures with different perspective of seeing women. Some of our some part of Indonesia has a matriarch culture also, so that is also different. And in the most populated by the Muslim citizens here, I think we also need to be very careful to approach, to find the right approach, for example, to enhance the spirit of gender equality. And I think the collaboration between the within the bodies of care, between the German artist participants and the Indonesian participants was a very good encounters in terms of, knowing or trying to understand the context from the distance without knowing each other before, without knowing the background of the culture. So there have been some cultural issues and strong discussion that each of them need to explain what is the local context, what is the national context, which is also different, and what is our global context in terms of feminist movement. And also the presence of body. Each artist has also different way of expressing bodies. Like some, like for example, our German participant, I think Isabel and others, they are more having a free kind of a free way of expressing using the body, while in Indonesia it is like, for example, using bodies is for our member Imade Yogi Sugiarto from Bali, who is queer. She needs to express it in a very different way, like she wanted to express her experience from being oppressed society member. So different way, but slightly I don't know, we question also like is the there are different goals, I think, of feminist movement. There are different levels of outreach of achievement, and I think art project that is involving this kind of cultural discussions is always um, very inspiring. I think also how we spiritually um, in this direction also support each other. For example, now in Indonesia we are very well networked. Like for example, Sasi Kirana, it's led by Kenny, and I'm having my I'm running my artist run space, Studio Pesungan, and then there are Hartati who has a Senitari Indonesia. There are other active female activists in the art, but also supporting other female artists very much, and we encourage each other and work each other. And I think within the next 2 or 3 years, we will see some kind of like collectiveness, I think. So we are not going much to the streets and saying gender equality demonstration, but we want rather moving step by step into our collective with our collective spirits. And I think in Indonesia, it is the case that the awareness of being women is very strong indeed, and women are in a way also have um, a, a freedom, but in other side also like they're oppressed. So there are different kind of female presence also here, that those who have uh, a little bit of an openness, like the people who are living in the modern society, they of course they are more open to any gender equality. They are more, like the spirit of the now. But there are also people who are in the province area whose oppression we did not hear actually, yeah, who are oppressed, and we could not reach them. But some NGOs in the villages or in the province area in the East Indonesia, they start uh, having like a protection to women who are like being uh, having a domestic problem, and so I think it's a complex practice, but the art is wanting to embrace this issue, and that is very important. Yeah, the art is not just talking only about body. Yeah, although we are doing the bodies of care, but it's not just about body. It's also something that the body is carrying, the spirit of survival, the spirit of connecting, the spirit of togetherness, the spirit of recovering, improving, or something like that. So this body is kind of a transmitter of or transporter of a certain collective mission, I think. And that's very important, I think, in Indonesia, and it goes quite nice among us. And I think slowly we also deals with of course, if you want to change the system, then we need to deal with the system also, like enter the system to understand how to change the system. And this we are doing it, I think. Um, yeah, like we have the Koalisi Seni also, yeah, Kenny, who promote also advocacy to Indonesian regulation, for example, and also like protection to sexual harassment, to women who receive for sexual harassment, because in the in the um, in the regulation there is no really protection to women who are victims of sexual harassment, also in the cultural and art practices. So the recent improvement of a law is protecting women in the cultural practice, culture and art practice from sexual harassment. So that's for example one step forward. So Koalisi Seni is actually quite interesting alliance that we many artists and thinkers collaborating together to focus on certain issues, especially also gender equality.
Yeah, I might want to add Sekolah Pemikiran Perempuan, the School of Women's Thought. There are actually created to contribute more to the production of knowledge about feminism in Indonesia, and where I'm right now take part of as the participant. And we just actually did a manifesto in a 40 hours durational living cinema in Düsseldorf, and hopefully we can watch it. And it actually gathers art activists and cultural activists. So it's like a school. We take a three-month weekly school, and we are introduced to the ideas of feminism, from the international feminism to different waves and different ideas to colored people and how it's practiced in Indonesia. And it's being hosted by Lisa Bona Rahman and Intan Paramadita right now. But I think what is interesting here, that the school actually sees the potential of women's artists from different parts. So it's interconnected. It has this archipelagic notion that we come from different parts, and it's called actually what Intan said. It's a trans-archipelagic decolonial feminist trajectory that we have in Indonesia, because we have so many different movements, different waves. We have Muslim feminists, we have traditional feminists, we have artist feminists. And I think the acknowledgement to these different movements is also important, because, you know, we respect pluralism, and it's very much alive in Indonesia. So, and if I could point out some gestures that we have in Bodies of Care in relation to feminism, I guess at least we have 3 things. First is that all the works are archived in a documentary that you can watch or read in our website, documentary.org. It has the live narratives, the written essay, and the videos of the works. So we try to be actively contributing to the production of knowledge and interfere the erasure of women's work and roles. And then the second part is we try the spread of participant in different parts of Indonesia, and not to centralize in the living developed part of the country, and work with artists from Germany. I think is a really good transnational connectivity that we try to bring out. And I guess it also relates to the center-border issue that we often talk about in feminist theories. And the last but not least, I guess, the ideas to reclaim public sphere and to re-question the power of the stage and gatekeeping of the arts is also something that was very valuable in our conversations throughout the workshop. And yeah, there's a lot of interference to to interesting issues, not to mention all 10 issues that are actually very powerful from different artists.
Yes, what I found interesting when I saw the documentation and now listening to you speak as well, and I found one quote by Melati that says, talking about politics, society, or psychology makes no sense to me if the nerves are not able to digest the information. And I think this quote sums up lots of this discussion, because we see the intervention by one of the queer artists in a market, or the intervention into a river, caring about the environment. We have spoken a lot about visibility, pluralist feminist practice, and making that visible in platforms and archives, and also about speaking up against sexualized violence and harassment. So these are gestures of care, I feel, that go more like to an external, let's say, level. And then I feel that many of the videos were also addressing touch and vibration, togetherness, thanking yourself, thanking the others. Like, they were really going into our nervous systems and trying to really create a space where the nerves kind of digest all of these information that you have just mentioned. So I feel that, Melati, your quote is actually pretty precisely fitting the project Bodies of Care, because these different ways of caring kind of need to come together, if I understand you correctly. You want to comment on this?
Yes, I think also we, as an artist, for example, many artists also starting from their personal experience, and from this body as the complete home, actually, our nomad body, like we can define any home for us, but the body is the most solid home. And from this home, we are seeing the universe, we are seeing our surrounding, we are putting often that we are in the center of opening our perspective to see things. But sometimes uh, we we made some failures because of that, because our own experience is not always something that is connecting with other person's experience and other people experience. But there must be something that is um, collectively should be connected. To find this language, I think how we connect each other, then to understand, okay, you are seeing these things differently than I do see this, and they are seeing this situation differently than we are seeing this, and this kind of uh, project make it possible to exchange this digesting, the process of digesting. And I think in anyhow in the artworks, we need to have this kind of sense of communicating our process of digesting. It's very personal, but in a way it is something that we can contribute to the society, to each other. Yeah, I think that that is how it works. Individually, artists uh, cannot be really, like if an artist is very much centered to herself or to himself, I think the word become too small. And I think if like the way we of exchanging, the process of seeing and understanding, I think that through art, yeah, through art making and through art presentation, I think it should be um, carrying us into a further um, knowledge, probably, or understanding. Yeah.
I think we need to stop soon, but I wanted to really get to one more point that we haven't even discussed that much, which is these really intense gestures of care that we have been describing a little bit. How do they work digitally? Did you have the feeling that this digital medium of choreographic and artistic production has actually offered this space for the nervous systems and this care for each other? Or was it difficult, or did it open up new opportunities, territory, borders, crossing, access wise? What do you think about this digital art production?
I think the digital art production is part of our advanced technological world, or advanced technology world, and even like now, I think the even in a smaller town in Indonesia, you can watch our performance through the live streaming in the mobile from the mobile phone, which was in like maybe like 11 or 12 years ago was still very difficult, right? So, but the digital media is proposed to reach if it's to transmit the live performances or to present the archive or the recording or the documentation of a performance. I think it makes the circulations of messages even reaching a broader audience, and thus a broader knowledge should be reached, you know. And I think this spreading activities in the art context, I think it's very interesting. If it is, I think still in the track of sharing information and enhancing our spirits, you know, to develop more or to trigger or to inspire more activities or creations. But yeah, but the danger of it also, like the other side, you know, like for example the capitalization of product of digital art. So I think we cannot avoid this all the monetizing process of digital transmitting the art, but we think the other way is very useful, like to share a performance, a good performance documentations in another part of the world.
For
Keni, do you
Bodies
want
of
to add
Care,
something? Yes.
yeah, Bodies of Care actually tries to activate this digital connectivity, because we work also with Norm Radio, which is an online radio, and we broadcast the instructions online, so people can connect to it and do it whenever and wherever they want. And effectively, I guess we had more than 40 activations that we are being noted in different kinds of geographical landscape in Indonesia. And it's not directly connected to the artist. Some are used by classes, by children, by, you know, and yeah, it's very exciting to see how people are very eager to enter that space, you know, because this notion that we had before, how elite contemporary art is, and suddenly we are able to penetrate to other people, probably because the artist is not there and they feel free to use the instruction and to activate it in their own spaces whenever and whatever and however they want.
I agree. I think that it's a very interesting attempt to create gestures of care across geographical borders, disciplines, and also professional and non-professional practice of care in a choreographic sense. So I thank you very much to have given us, both of you, some insight into this project, but not only this project, but also your views on a feminist artistic practice in your personal professional life and on a more political feminist scale. I think we've learned so much from you. Thank you, Melati Suryodarmo and Keni Soeriaatmadja, for having taken the time to speak to us. And I'm looking very much forward to seeing your further projects and discovering all of the platforms that you will establish still in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adelina.
Yeah, it's lovely to be here, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation in Berlin.